do such a thing is because you don't like someone who built it, because there is a history of invasion, there is cruelty, there are terrible truths of the past. Shashi has been… I have yet to read the book, I have the book, but I've heard him speak here and there about all the things that have been done during the British era, which is very cruel.
Absolutely.
But if we go to UK now, we don't hate those people. Yes, they have done this to us, we should never forget it. We should never forget it. This has been done to us because this should not be done to us once again. But it does not mean today's generation of English people, we have to hate them.
Correct.
No, that's not it. So the same
they
goes…
could give us the Kohinoor back. That's the least you could have
No,
done.
that is the… that same goes for Islamic invasions. They've done terrible things to us. But we don't have to forget it, we should not forget it.
But also they stayed and became us, Sadhguru.
Huh?
They stayed and became us. There were some invaders who came and looted and left. But for many of the people, such as the emperor who built the Taj Mahal, they are us. They are part of our soil, assimilated into our culture.
Say, I want you to know, if there was no World War II, British also would have stayed. So that doesn't mean that happened because of their love for you.
No, but Sadhguru, they sent everything from here back to England, whereas these people, even whatever they looted, they spent here. There is a difference.
That is because it's another time when there were no ships.
Technical problem, isn't it? No,
There were ships, there were ships.
Transportation issues.
And besides, they had a land route back home to the Ferghana Valley, they didn't use it.
It's not easy to go.
But you say, whether they did or not, one should not hate them now and should not build walls around them now. Is that your message?
See, what I'm saying is, historically many ugly things have been done by different people.
Quite right.
Ugly things that have happened to us as a nation, we must remember.
Ugly things we've done to ourselves also.
That also is there, that's another aspect.
Right.
What others have done to us, we must remember, but we should not become bitter because this bitterness will destroy us. Why we should remember is so that we don't make the same mistakes and get into the same pit once again. That's very important for me. But at the same time, if today, let's say, UK spoke the same language that it spoke during the colonial era, definitely we will not accept them. Unfortunately, with certain groups of people, they're trying to speak the same language which was historically spoken way back. So this creates a whole lot of confrontation in the society. And this entire misuse of this for democratic purposes, when I say democratic purposes, because it's all a number game, so people are playing this game for last 70 years, so naturally you have kind of brought this little bit of fear in others. Fear means people are seeing what's happening in Iraq and the Islamic State and stuff, what happened in Kashmir. So people think if these numbers increase, this will happen to us also, because it's happened in the past. So I feel if one thing stops, I think this entire little bit of heat going on between communities will die, that is, you don't try to change the dynamics of demographics. Just let it stay this for next 100 years, without anybody trying to increase numbers, you will see everything will level out. This is the only fear. That's why there is reaction.
What religion are you? What religion are you?
I never identified with myself with any religion as such, because we must understand this, religion is a very foreign thing to India. Because when you say if you have to belong to a certain religion, you have to believe something. But this has always been a land of seekers. We never ever believed anything. It doesn't matter, even when the so-called divine entities came, when Shiva came, his wife asked a million questions. The Shiva Sutra is full of questioning. And if Krishna comes, this man, his disciple, supposed to be asked 1,000 questions. Whoever came, no entity, however divine they were considered to be, could give us a commandment, only debate he got. Because there was no such idea as the God in our minds ever. So there is no belief system, so how can you say there is a religion?
Guru says, just a fear, it's a fear.
So, I was intrigued to hear Sadhguru say that, because obviously some of the fear is stoked up. It is stoked, as you yourself said, partly for political purposes.
No.
Unfortunately, there is often a politics of polarization that assumes that whipping up certain sentiments will gather certain votes for a particular community. There is a politics of identity that says, let's promote the interests of our caste alone, or our group alone, or our faith alone, at the expense of others. So I'm certainly not expecting and accepting the political process whatsoever from this. But at the same time, it is not right, it seems to me, to suggest that this is somehow natural. It is actually, no baby is born intolerant. Somebody's teaching that baby its attitudes, its beliefs, whom to like, whom to dislike. And in the same way, I think in our politics, we are allowing some of our leaders to tell us whom to dislike and why, for reasons that in fact are not part of our daily lives. You rightly said in the villages of India, people live side by side and they don't feel any of this hatred and unpleasantness.
Is that a correct interpretation of what you meant?
No, because
Not. It's not.
taking,
you got it wrong again.
see, I don't wish to take a political stance because I've never associated myself with any political ideology at any time, not today. So what I see is, what we are today, in many ways, we are products of history. We cannot completely eliminate it. The British history that you have extensively spoken about, written about, the thing about the British is they exploited you commercially. For them, you were just a resource. They had no other interest in you. They don't care which god you worship, whether you go to your temple or you don't go to your temple or what you do.
Is it okay that they eat beef?
Huh? I'm sorry?
Is it okay that they eat beef?
If you have a wrong choice of food, it's up to you. What's my problem?
So anybody can eat beef is their choice. Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Okay, of course.
No, what I'm saying is…
That goes against what
No,
a
I will
lot of
come.
people feel.
I'll come to that. We can look at that later. This aspect. But when it comes to these religious innovations that happened, whatever the thought behind that thought you must surrender. You see, if I do something horrible to you today, 10 days later if we meet, at least I must show some regret or remorse in what I have done. When I'm proud of what I have done to you, this is not going to settle, all right? This is what you're expecting. When people are very proud of what they have done to you in the past, now you want it to settle, it's not going to settle. It is just… I'm saying it'll just be an academic debate. It is not going to be a social reality. I'm not interested in any debate unless it's a solution for the problems that we are in.
So what's the solution?
The solution is… the important thing is, you can do whatever you want, but you have no business to tell me what I should do, all right?
And vice versa.
Everywhere. I'm saying for anybody.
Yes, yes.
Essentially, this is this. Because people believe certain things, because everything that you have to ever know in the universe is written in one book, people are insecure about that because we know what's written. The question is not whether everybody is like that or not. We're just afraid one day book will play upon us. So one thing that you have to do is, first thing, whatever the past cruelties that have been done, many things, it's not a simple process.
Right.
See, people have forgotten what has happened in this Delhi, what has happened in one afternoon. One afternoon, 20,000 people were killed in one of these days, three centuries ago. People have not forgotten these things because they know what will happen to them. And what has happened in Kashmir, people have not forgotten. Maybe people try to act like it didn't happen, but it has happened. So, if the demographics don't change, you will see everything will settle down. The thing is, continuously people in a very strategic way trying to change the demographic dynamic. Now people are afraid because they know if the numbers increase, what will happen to them? So just don't do that one thing, you will see all problems will settle.
Earlier, that you've traveled around India recently and throughout your life, even as a young man, when you're on a motorbike, people live with each other in complete peace and harmony and without fear, without thinking of the history and without thinking of numbers.
Even now it is true.
And Shashi says that…
I'm telling you, even now it is true, except those communities which are kind of little ghettoed, except in those places. Everywhere else, even now it is true in this India. Just now, 30 days I've driven across the country.
Right.
Even now it is true. Every kind of people, every kind of community leaders came to me and spoke to me and I spoke to them. All this happens. See, we must understand one fundamental ethos of Indian psyche. we don't really have a problem what God you worship, because in the same family there are 32 gods and goddesses.
And there is Ishwara Allah Tero Naam.
No, that's okay, but I'm saying even before that.
Yeah.
See, every other form of whatever… I'll tell you one thing, you take one picture of some pious-looking man, usually they must be bearded if it's a man, and take it and give it to one
I'm glad
old…
you didn't use the word God man.
I'll come to that God man, I think I should restructure that one. If you give this picture to an old lady in some village and say, this is a great sage, she will keep it in her puja room and worship without knowing who the hell he is. Do you understand? This is the only culture which does that. So do not destroy that by imposing something forceful, you have to believe this, otherwise you're not this or that. You don't have to believe anything to be in this country, okay? You don't have to believe anything to be a part of this culture, because everybody can do their own thing. That is, we know the technology of God-making. For every one of us, we made our own God. There's something called as Ishta Devata, that you can create your own god or goddess.
That's true.
If you like the tree, you can make the tree into your god. If you like a rock, you can make a rock into your god. This is a phenomena. This is the most wonderful thing, because this is a dimension of life which should never be organized. Because the moment it's organized, it becomes something else. So this we realized from ancient times, and we made it in such a way it can never be organized. There is a desperate attempt to organize it, but it's not working anyway. You cannot organize it, because to organize something you need one particular belief system. There is no particular belief system in this country.